Welcome to Wednesdays on Legal AF. I got another update about the Epstein scandal, something that I reported on last week that has now picked up steam in mainstream media. And I want to connect the dots here between Todd Blanche, Donald Trump's criminal defense lawyer, masquerading as our number 2 in the Department of Justice, the lawyer for Ghislaine Maxwell, the co-conspirator of Epstein that's angling for a pardon, her lawyer, David Oscar Markus, that relationship. And then the relationship between David Oscar Markus and Alan Dershowitz and Epstein. I will tie it all together the way I think you've come to expect here on Legal AF. And let's get to it. Take a moment, hit the free subscribe button to keep us on the air as we speak. Okay, let's talk about it. Last week, it's just that mainstream media picked up with it this week, although I did not get any credit. Last week, I reported that I had located a podcast from over a year ago showing the close, chummy relationship between Todd Blanche, then Donald Trump's criminal defense lawyer, before the election, and David Oscar Markus, a lawyer down in Miami that's currently representing Ghislaine Maxwell. Where they are giggling like schoolgirls, where David Oscar Markus compliments Todd Blanche. Thank you for being the first person to ever appear twice on my podcast. Nobody watches this podcast. It was little watched, except I watched it. And what I saw was how close this friendship was and how it's being used now without any disclosure. You never hear Todd Blanche level with the American people and say, hey, I may be cutting a deal with my buddy, David Oscar Markus, for Ghislaine Maxwell to save the ass of my current client, Donald Trump. You never hear him say a version of that. You never hear David Oscar Markus, who's never short for words. As soon as he sees a bank of microphones, whether it's his case or not, he runs over to them and starts talking. You never see him say, by the way, just to be full disclosure, I've got a close relationship with Todd Blanche that dates even before this issue. And we're using that relationship to my client's advantage. You never see him say that. So what is the problem with that relationship? The problem is it's not transparent, it's not being disclosed, and it's being leveraged to continue, as we've reported here, to hide and to cover up the relationship between Donald Trump, Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and others. It's obvious. As I've said before, you know that this conversation took place. This is not imaginary, where Markus and Blanche had a phone call before the immunity was given, before he went and visited her, in which David Oscar Markus said to his buddy, Todd Blanche, hey, here's what she's going to say. She's going to bail out Donald Trump. You're going to want to hear from her. You're going to want to give me that pardon. I'm going to give you the detailed we call it a proffer of what she's going to say. And Todd Blanche says, you got it. You got your immunity. We're going to give you proffer immunity. See how that works? And then he went in for 2 days in a puppet show and interviewed her. But that close relationship, that unholy relationship between Markus and Todd Blanche, which is the first leg of this hot take I'm doing, has now been fully exposed, and lots of questions are being asked about the propriety of it and about the ethics of it. So we've got an ethics scandal wrapped up into a sex trafficking scandal in a cover-up scandal. That's a lot of scandals wrapped up into one. Let's play the clip from the podcast that I caught from a year ago showing the closeness of the relationship.
Okay, I want to welcome Todd Blanche to For the Defense. Everybody knows who Todd is, and he's the first guest on For the Defense to appear twice. So welcome to the show, Todd.
That is an honor. Thank you very much, David. I really appreciate it.
So, I mean, you were a federal prosecutor. I'm sure you never could have imagined this when you were first starting out as an assistant United States attorney. How did you get here, Todd? How did you end up representing Donald Trump and being in trial in the first of its kind case?
Well, no, you're right, David. I'd never imagined, even during the trial, I would kind of check myself occasionally and be surprised at where I was every day.
Looks like two people who know each other pretty well, right? This was not like, I wonder what Ghislaine Maxwell's going to say. I wonder if I should give her immunity. This was all cooked. This was all prearranged, which is another leg or badge of the cover-up. Now let's take it one step further, as long as we're all here together. What's the relationship, you may ask, if any, between David Oscar Markus, that lawyer for Ghislaine Maxwell I just described, and Alan Dershowitz, the Harvard law professor by day and who knows what by night? Alan Dershowitz is very public in campaigning for Maxwell to be released, suggesting that she's a victim and that she's the Rosetta Stone that knows everything. In fact, I'm going to play you a clip of him lobbying for just these things to happen behind the scenes. But let me explain who he is first. He's not just a Harvard law professor, even though he doesn't ever get introduced this way. Let me properly introduce Alan Dershowitz to our audience. Harvard law professor, worked on the OJ trial, was on the team representing Jeffrey Epstein in 2008 when he negotiated that non-prosecution agreement that let him continue to abuse women and rape girls while only copping a plea to a state charge, not federal, a state charge of soliciting prostitution from a minor. As if the minor was doing it as a business proposition instead of being preyed on by Epstein. This U.S. attorney, Alex Acosta, he later becomes Donald Trump's labor secretary. Maybe that was the reward. The deal lets Epstein off the hook with a signed agreement. Who negotiates it? Part of the team? Dershowitz. Okay, I'm not done with Dershowitz. That deal is the one that Ghislaine Maxwell is using at the United States Supreme Court to argue she gets the benefit of the non-prosecution agreement, even though she didn't sign it, she didn't negotiate it, she's not named in it, and she's asking for broader relief and protection than even Dershowitz obtained for his own client Epstein. That's for another hot take up at the United States Supreme Court, right? Now, let's keep going. There's a relationship between Dershowitz and David Oscar Markus. How do I know? Because it's up on David Oscar Markus's website. Here, a picture of a very young, nerdy-looking David Oscar Markus with his mentor, Alan Dershowitz. So is it hard to believe that Dershowitz brought in David Oscar Markus to represent Ghislaine Maxwell? I'm not done with Dershowitz. There was an allegation by Virginia Joffrey, who Donald Trump just admitted, I did another hot take on this, just admitted that the reason that he had a falling out with Epstein is because he was stealing young girls from Mar-a-Lago. That's a self-confession, don't you think? That's the part he's mad about? That Virginia Joffrey, who committed suicide in April, was stolen from working as a 17-year-old, a spa attendant, and ended up getting preyed on and raped by Epstein? Doesn't that indicate a certain level of knowledge by Donald Trump at that time? What did he do about it? He kept saying, I got rid of Epstein's relationship because he was a creep. Did you report your creepy feelings to the officials so that thousands of women would not be sexually abused? Or are you just upset because you lost some young girl staff members to Jeffrey Epstein, who was using Mar-a-Lago as his personal grooming and hunting ground? So that didn't help Donald Trump. That shows you how gassed he was coming out of Scotland. Maybe he shouldn't go out of the country so much and give interview after interview after interview about the same issue when he's obviously mentally decrepit. Dershowitz got accused by Virginia Joffrey, the same woman who just committed suicide, but a girl at the time, that she had sex with Dershowitz in a number of locations. He denied it. She sued him for defamation. He sued her for defamation. That case settled, apparently with no money being transacted. Later, she didn't apologize, but she did say a lot was going on in her life at that time. She might have been mistaken about Dershowitz. In any event, he has been caught up in this scandal. You would never know any of that by how he appears on places like Fox News. Run the clip.
There is a move to have Epstein's collaborator, Ghislaine Maxwell, testify before Congress. She says she's willing to do it. There are several Republican senators today calling on Congress to bring her in. Do you think she should testify?
Absolutely. She knows everything. I mean, she is everything. I know a lot, but I know what he told me. I was his lawyer, and I can't reveal stuff that he told me in confidence, but there are no great deep dark secrets. But she knows everything. She's known him for, I don't know, close to half a century. She was his girlfriend. She was the one who arranged all the trips and travel of all the people who went to the island, who went to the house, who went to the place in New Mexico, who went to his place in Paris. So she's the key to everything, and there's no reason why they shouldn't give her use immunity, which means she can still be prosecuted if she commits perjury, but she would then have to testify about everything, and she should.
Okay. So now mainstream media is finally getting around to connecting the dots, but it maddens me. It's one of the reasons I formed this channel, and I started doing Legal AF 5 years ago, and now full time. It maddens me that the mainstream media, they'll report one little dot and then they'll leave out the rest. They never connect the dots. It takes them months, if not years, if ever. They'll mention the close relationship between Todd Blanche and David Oscar Markus, Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer. But they won't mention Dershowitz's relationship with David Oscar Markus, Dershowitz being sort of sullied by Virginia Joffrey, Dershowitz out selling for his not client, but friend's client, Ghislaine Maxwell on Fox, and how unethical that is without disclosures and transparency. They never connect those dots. We do it here for you and with you. And we're really happy that we vibrate on the same frequency. We're glad you're here. Keep everything on the air. Keep Legal AF on the air. Keep the Substack on the air. Keep our Instagram on the air. Show love to all of it. Hit the subscribe button. Until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.